Hey guys, nice to meet you guys again. Today we're going to talk about our orientation topic number 4, the Malaysia English language education system, and especially for English papers. So you have to know that in Malaysia we have quite a number of different kinds of education system. The most common, of course, is the public schools, or we used to say the government schools, where they provide very good education. Like for examination, for primary, you have to participate the UPSR examinations, and then you proceed on to a secondary. At the end of the 5 years, from 5, you have to participate at the SPM, and then you go on for whether you are proceeding for your STPM or matriculation. You have to take the MUET before you get into the public university. And I have to mention again, if you do not know what is MUET means, it stands for Malaysia University English Test. And this is an entry test for all the students who are studying in the public school to get entry into the government university. So in MUET, we have all different kinds of band, from band 1 up to band 5, 6. So it depends on what faculties you are going in. If you are going for good faculties, like whether you're mastering in English, you need a good band 5 or band 4. Depends on the university whether they want to enlist you. But of course, for most of the faculties, you need a band 3 to get into the university, the public university. And of course, we comes to another kind of education where we have the private Chinese school. This is too important because the students have to enroll after their UPSR. They have to look for their secondary school, and they can opt for the private Chinese school. And these Chinese schools basically are organized and managed by the Zhongdong, which they will set their own curriculum. Which must be aligned with the Ministry of Education guidelines for them. And I will tell you that for the 6 years education in UEC, by the final year, students have to participate the UEC examination, which is known as the Malaysia Unified Examination Certificate. For the first 3 years, it is known as the junior exam, and the final 6 years. After the 6 years, you have to participate the final year exam, which I mentioned again is known as the UEC. And of course, it is not easy to pass, because after the UEC, students have to choose the university they want. But unfortunately, only few are allowed to get into government university, provide on certain conditions. But most of the students will opt for their private universities or to go travel overseas. And you will see that quite a number of students, they will travel to Australia or even to UK or either to Taiwan. And proceeding after which, besides the UEC schooling or the private Chinese schools, we also provide, in Malaysia, they also provide the international schools, or we known as the homeschooling. And this is basically a much higher investment for the parents to afford for their children, because international school, of course, the semester fees is much higher. And in international schools, students are allowed to take, if they would like to take the SPM, they can opt for it. But most of the international school, they offered, or even homeschooling, they offered the children the Cambridge system, or Cambridge education system, where all the papers are under the Cambridge. Even the English language is also under the Cambridge system. And when the students will depends in which year. For English or Cambridge education system, students have to take their key stage 4 examinations at the year number 10 or year number 11, it depends. And also at year 12, they will take the advanced level examination. I repeat, on year 10, they will participate, or either year 11, they will participate for the Cambridge examinations. And these examinations, for English examinations, some schools will register the students to let the students participate English as a first language. Some schools will allow the students to participate English in a second language. So it depends. For first language Cambridge examination test or examinations, the paper is known as the 0500 code. And as for the second language, they can opt for 0510 papers or either the 0511. This is important for every English language consultant to know because you will meet a lot of parents, lots of parents, which the children are in different kinds of schooling system. So we cannot afford to mislead or even we cannot give incorrect information to these parents because the papers are different. So we need to know as a consultant to ensure that we've given them the correct program where they can easily pass their papers at the end of the semester or the end of the year before the examinations. And of course, let's come into the last, but not all, one of the most common examinations or tests which students require to participate before they travel for their overseas study. And that is they can opt for the IELTS, which is known as the International English Language Testing System, or they can opt for the PTE, which is known as the Pearson test in English. These both tests are entitled for students to score the correct band they wanted before they can travel overseas. So it simply means if their overseas college or universities require a certain band for any of these tests, they have to score before they can travel overseas and to attain their student permit. So you have to know for IELTS, basically the most common test is IELTS. I'm going to elaborate more on IELTS instead of PTE because this is very common test that most of the Malaysians, they will participate before they travel overseas. For IELTS, we have a band from band 1, the range up to band 9. So for if the students is proceeding for the overseas study in diploma, normally the overseas college or colleges will prefer or they wanted or they have to the students have to attain a band 5 or to band 6.5. And if it's for uni study, they have to easily score at least band 6 to band 8. As I mentioned, the maximum is band 9. So can you imagine if your students will score band 8, they are fantastic, they have scored a fantastic grade, which they can even become a teacher because they are in the CEFR C1 level. So as I mentioned, IELTS is one of the most common tests, which is most of the Malaysians who participate. And as for London House of English, we are an authorized registration center for IELTS. That is why you will see a lot of students who come into our center to register for IELTS, and even they will come in for their preparation course. So students who come in for IELTS program, I will mention to you later in my topic, how are we going to help them in their IELTS papers. So today, basically, I'm giving you a very general information that these are all the tests, the local tests and international exam and test that Malaysian students will encounter during their study days. So as you can see, you have to know all these tests well, because when the parents will come into us, when they asked for the test, we have to know and we have to elaborate and explain to them in details how these papers will work and how our course will able to help these students to pass and score a great distinction in their papers, in their English papers. So if you do have any questions, you can always put into my WhatsApp and I'll answer to you. But meanwhile, let's look forward for the next lesson, guys. And I will see you again in topic number 5. Thank you.